Objection, Judge. The opposing lawyer is insulting me during closing arguments. Is that a proper argument to make during trial? You want to know the answer? Come join me on this walk through the neighborhood as I share with you the answer to that question. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Okay, here's the scenario. I was watching closing arguments in a medical malpractice trial recently, and guess what? The defense lawyer goes first to make his closing arguments. When he's done, now the attorney who represents the injured patient gets up to make his closing arguments. So actually the attorney who represents the injured patient, known as the plaintiff's attorney, gets the last word. Actually, that's not true. It is the judge who actually gets the last word. But the defense attorney goes first when making closing arguments. The injured patient's attorney then goes afterwards, and then the judge gives legal instructions to the jury, and the judge gets the last word. During this closing argument by the defense lawyer representing the doctor who is being sued, this defense lawyer kept insulting, literally insulting, the injured patient's attorney. Now, what did the attorney do? What did the injured patient, what did the plaintiff's attorney do every time he was insulted? You know what he did? Absolutely nothing. He ignored it as best he could. I could see from the back of the courtroom that there was steam coming out of the attorney's ears. You could see how frustrated and angry and upset he was getting every time he was insulted. Now, how could a defense attorney do that? Doesn't he risk turning the jury off to these insults? The answer is yes. There is a very serious consideration, a serious risk of turning the jury against him, because now he's focusing the case on the attorney and making it really personal about the attorney's actions during the course of trial as somehow affecting the merits of this case. In that instance, now the jury's focus has changed from the merits of the case to the shenanigans that may be going on between the attorneys during trial. So now, one of the things that the defense attorney did was he turned around and said, listen, we believe the injured patient here. She's a very likable person. It's because of the patient's attorney. He was the one who bullied these witnesses. He was the one who confronted these witnesses, who got into their face and was yelling and screaming, and it's all a bunch of bluster. And now he's basically saying, listen, this attorney is leading everybody around by the leash, that this is a whole circus being run by the injured patient's attorney. He actually said that. And I was amazed. I was even more amazed that the plaintiff's attorney did not stand up and object. He could easily have said, Judge, I object to this nonsense. And you know what? The judge likely would have said, objection sustained, move on, counselor, meaning, hey, that's not appropriate. Don't comment on the attorney's behavior or actions. Comment on the facts of this case. Comment on the proof and on the evidence, and comment on your position. Don't focus on what the attorneys did or didn't do. In that instance, the judge would be well within his right to say, listen, objection sustained, which simply means I hear the objection you're making, counselor. I agree with you, and now I'm telling the opposing attorney not to talk any more about that. And I knew he was just waiting for his turn to get up and say something about these insults that were flying at him when he now had a chance to talk to the jury. And guess what? He did not disappoint me. When he got up to talk to the jury, interwoven in his arguments were some of the comments that were made against him. And he turned those comments into ridicule by basically asking rhetorical questions saying, and this is what he says about me? He wants you to believe that I did this, this, and this? How outrageous is that? And he brushed those ridiculous allegations aside and moved on to the real facts in the case. And that's the appropriate thing to do. But you should know, you do have the opportunity as the attorney to make an objection to the court, to the judge supervising this trial, that if something is being said that's improper, if an attorney is doing something that's improper, you have an obligation to stand up and speak for yourself. Judge, he's insulting me and I resent that. Now, the jury can think what they want, but the fact is you don't have to sit there and take it. You don't have to sit and take personal insults during a trial, especially during closing arguments, because closing arguments is really not an opportunity to insult your opponent. Unless, of course, you're trying to divert the jury's attention away from the real facts of the case. So now they're paying attention to the shenanigans or actions of attorneys rather than the facts of the case. Do you think that an attorney might do that intentionally? The answer is yes. There are some attorneys who, as a strategy to divert the jury's attention from the facts, will certainly get them to focus on things having nothing to do with the merits of the case. So if you're sitting in the back of the courtroom listening to that, You might be asking yourself, why would the attorney be focusing on the other lawyer and trying to get the jury to focus on him rather than the facts of the case? And now you know the answer. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you just to give you a sense of what really happens in these medical malpractice cases, these accident cases, and even these wrongful death cases that go to trial here in New York. You know, I realize you're likely watching this video because you enjoy the beautiful scenery on this great walk. No, I realize you're watching this because you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York, and you have not yet started a lawsuit, but are thinking of doing so, and still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.